Hello, I'm Amy Lewis, and this is my final presentation for Honors 2012, in which I am proposing Choose Your Own Reading List as a tool to encourage children to read more. There are some children who are naturally interested in reading, and because of this, parents and educators don't have to work hard to encourage this behavior. However, there are also many children who are not at all interested in reading, and because of this, they are not at all willing to participate in reading behavior. This is a problem because regular reading behavior has many benefits in regard to children's academic development, their social development, and their future vocational development. So it's really necessary to encourage this behavior in order to best set children up for success. With the rise of technology, children are provided with far more stimulating things to do with their time rather than reading a book. And since children tend to lack the long-term sight needed for them to prioritize these behaviors which have long-term benefits over the things that are stimulating right now, it's important for us as adults to find ways to make reading more interesting to children so that they're more willing to engage in this behavior. So I've had three primary insights which I've gained as a result of researching this problem for this class. The first insight is that exposing children to a wide variety of books and genres of books is very important. Children may have a negative experience with reading, such as reading a book that was not of interest to them, and associate that negative experience with reading as a whole, causing them to have negative feelings toward reading. But if we expose children to a wide variety of books, they may be more likely to find one that they actually think is of interest, and therefore be more likely to associate positive feelings with reading as a whole. The second insight I've gained is that parental involvement is very important for success. Parents know their children best, so they're best able to individualize reading interventions for their child. And they also are very important role models for their children, so doing things like reading with your child is important in order to make them more likely to engage in this behavior. And the third insight that I've gained is that personalization of reading interventions makes them much more successful. Each child is unique, and making sure that an intervention is unique to that child is important to make sure that it appeals to their own individual interests. So here we have the prototype for the Choose Your Own Reading List, which would simultaneously expose children to a wide variety of books and remain highly personalized. Children would begin with a general reading list, like the one on the left here, which includes books from a wide variety of genres. We have the mystery book, the adventure book, the book about science, the historical fiction book, all these different kinds of books. And the children would read through this list and then select their favorite, say the book about science. And then once they had selected their favorite, they would be given a second reading list, like the one in the middle here, the science reading list, which contains books which pertain to their interests. So all of these books are about science. Once the children had read through all of these books, they would be asked to select their favorite, say the book about animals, and then be given a third reading list, this time all about books about animals. And so they would progress through these successions of reading lists, each time becoming more individualized to their interests and hopefully being more interesting to them. This method relies heavily upon parental involvement because parents need to first usher in the next iteration of the reading list for their children after they've completed one, and they also need to go with the children to the library in order to secure the books. It's accessible to children from a wide variety of economic backgrounds because these children can get the books from the local library, as all of the books selected would be available there. And it would also connect children with resources to continue to find relevant books at their local library once they had gone through 3 or 4 iterations of the reading list. So what would we need to make this a reality? The first thing, obviously, would be funding, paying the people who are working on the project. We would need art to decorate the list to make them appealing to the children's eyes. We would need advice from teachers, librarians, and elementary education experts regarding choosing books that would be best for the lists. And we would need to run trials to gauge the usefulness of these lists and identify areas in which we would need to improve them. In conclusion, it's important to find ways to make reading more appealing to children. Appealing to children's individual interests is a great way to make reading more interesting to them. And through the Choose Your Own Reading List, children could work with parents to personalize their reading plans to their own interests. This has a strong potential to promote reading behavior to children. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your time.